Hi, how you doing? Welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. Hope you're good. Hope you had a good week last week. It was good, weren't it? It was some ride, some roller coaster. Always is, never fails to deliver Cheltenham. Um, I suppose the question you all want to know is how did we do? Did we make a profit? Right, yeah, we did well. We did all right. We did good. We had 193 points on, if you remember, and we got 250 and a half back. So, yeah, I'd say that's not bad at all. We had 16 to 1, 20 to 1, and 28 to 1 winners there, amongst others, which helped us on our way. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun there, and we made a few quid as well. Yeah, we'll have a look back at all sort of 27 races then. There was some brilliant performances, from the horses, from the trainers and the jockeys there. It's going to be a long one, this, it is, it is. So get your flasks ready, get comfy. Yeah, I'm thinking an hour and a half in my head, but we'll see. So yeah, we'll look back on all these races. We've got a few I picked out for next year. Yeah, we'll have them as well. Um, it's took me a little while to get this together. I had to have a little bit of a break, pay a bit of, spend a bit of quality time with the family. It's been quite intense on the run up to Cheltenham, as you might well know. So I've kind of been doing this in my spare time a little bit. Some of the prices, one's changed. Yeah, one just dropped 34 points on it, but we'll still have it. And some of them are only available in like one or two places now. So I do realise some of you might not be able to get on, but I've had the bets, and if I can get on, then I'll just quote it as it is. See, I do it the other way round as well. Say the best price is at Hills, I'll take the shorter price, or at another bookies I can't get on, and I record it at the shorter price. But sometimes you can get better there. But anyway, I'm already rambling, and we've got a long way to go. So we'll start at the beginning then. Tuesday, the ground were heavy to soft in places. Changed after the first couple of races. It started soft, heavy places. Yeah, Supreme. Right. Slade Steel beat Mystical Power a length and a half. Firefox another 3.5 lengths back in third. As you can appreciate, I'm going to massive depth on all these races. Some of the handicaps are kind of skipped over fairly quick. Right, Slade Steel, yeah, I'd say he kind of out-toughed Mystical Power after the last on the ground. He could be a Gold Cup horse this in time. I think Rachel mentioned that. Next year, you'd say, being Henry, he'd been nailed on to running the Arkle. And that's a route some horses have trod before into Arkle and ended up in the Gold Cup. But this is Robcore, so they'll have a big say where he goes, and he could possibly end up in the Turners. So Arkle or Turners, but yeah, he's a class act, isn't he? And he'll do well next year over fences. Mystical Power ran well. He's come a long way in his last two runs. I'd say the ground probably didn't help him here. Maybe if it was sort of the old good to soft at Cheltenham, you might have seen a different result. Yeah, I'd imagine he'll do well as well. Firefox, yeah, he came third here. He had a torrid run early in the straight. I think it could be overplayed a little bit in terms of the result. I don't think he'd been beaten the first two, to be fair, but he'd have certainly been closer. Whereas once he win the clear, he didn't really take any more than a length out of Asian Master, as they both sort of stayed on well to the line. all the same though, he had a bad prep really. He was coming here off a bad run and he's ran a blinder. He's always looked like he'd make a cracking chase at this horse, and he's one to really look forward to next year. I'd imagine he'll end up in the Arkle or the Turners. Yeah, Asian Master ran well as well. He looks a nice prospect, and Toll Forest there, he did well as well, didn't he, in fifth. Yeah, good race, good start, and nice to see sort of Henry and Rachel there winning the first. Kind of looked quite bemused, I think, to win the Supreme Henry. The Arkle then. Gaelic Warrior beat Founder 50, 8.5 lengths here. I got this wrong, I got this wrong. I couldn't have backed this horse at 10-1, but I was clearly in a minority. He was sent off a well-backed favourite. I thought this were a brilliant training performance from Willie. He looked like a broken horse on his last run as he sort of failed to clamber over the last behind Factor File. And to get him back in this sort of form was some going. The first time Hood were inspired, it seemed to just transform him as well. He looked the winner everywhere in the race. He jumped relatively straight. He's always looked a huge talent, this horse. His engine's never been in doubt. And with the addition of this Hood, who knows what he's going to go on to achieve. Expect him to put up a monstrous display at Punchestown, going right-handed, because he still prefers going that way. But yeah, he's going to put up some performance there, I'd imagine, and he's going to end up in the Champion Chase or the Ryanair next year. Which one might depend a little bit on El Fabiolo if he comes back, the horse he were. But yeah, he were good. I was wrong, I admit. Right, the ultimate. Chianti Classico beat Twig 4.5 lengths here. Meeting of the Waters were a length and a quarter further back in third. It was a mile back to the fourth. Chianti Classico, he was always well placed here in the leading bunch, and he was always going well. He kind of always looked the winner. If you want him, you never really had a worry, apart from the last, maybe where he kind of overpitched a little. This horse, he pulled up in the Albert Bartlett last year, but he stood out as a progressive novice. A lack of track form kind of put me off for this race. But, you know, what's wrong there? Again, I was on Trelawney, he looked like some sort of rodeo horse, I thought, and came down at the second. Giovinco with a light for this and backed him, but he wasn't here. I were left in after these first three races. I did wonder if I'd kind of overcomplicated things a little bit. Maybe I did. Slade still got to win 7 length of Ballyburn, which is some performance, isn't it, to get win 7 length of that horse. So you could say he kind of stood out in the Supreme, particularly on the ground. Gaelic Warrior was just clearly the best horse in that average looking Arkle. It looked a poor Arkle bar him. And Chianti Classico, unexposed, progressive novice, kind of stood out. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that just went bang, 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 first 3 winners, like, you know, but not me. But there you go. State Man, then Champion Hurdle, beat Irish Point a length and a quarter, with Lucia another 2 1/4 lengths back in third. They went pretty slow here, very slow really for a Champion Hurdle. The State Man, he always looked in control of the race, and he was valued for more than the winning margin. I must admit, every time I watch this, I think he's more impressive. He's not flash, is he? But that's just his way. The There is a feeling though that he's maybe not quite the same force around Cheltenham in a champion hurdle. You know, you look where Lucia finished. Yeah, maybe. He's some horse though. I think Lucia were probably flattered maybe the way the race were run. Next year could be some race. Connell, Lossiemouth, Ballyburn, Sergino. I don't know. Personally, I think I won't be having him for next year. I think something will be too good for him next year. That's just my view. Irish Point, he ran really well here. He's another really kind of straightforward, uncomplicated horse. You know, ideally wants a bit further than this. He looks to me like he's improved with every run this season. No idea where he's going in the future, but up in trip, yeah. I'm sure Robco will place him well. Canny lads, aren't they, this Robco outfit? They got everything right this week. Mares Hurdle. Right, this is where my Cheltenham sort of got going anyway. Not got much right up to now. But we got this one really, really right. We got it kind of 4 times right, really. Lossiemouth beat Tell Me Something Girl 3 lengths with Hispanic Moon, 9.5 lengths back in third. Patiently ridden by Paul, she kind of just oozed class through the race, as she does. And she came there at the last, travelling all over Tell Me Something Girl. She binged it and quickened away smartly up the hill for an impressive victory. Providing Ballyburn goes chasing, which he probably will, maybe, probably. Provided Ballyburn goes chasing, you'd imagine she'll be back next year for the champion. And right now, I'd give her a good shout at turning over Stateman. Although a peak form constitutional is a different kettle of fish. I don't think anything can beat a peak form constitutional. Not even a Ballyburn, I don't think. It'd be some race there, wouldn't it? I think Connell would have to be peak form. I was so proud to Tell Me Something earlier. She's ran a blinder, finished miles clear of the third, and this was some sort of redemption for a unlucky run a couple of years back, you know. Yeah. Sorry, I've been dying of cold, you know. I was fine all week. I woke up Saturday and it just hit me. I don't know, maybe the adrenaline kind of held it back through the week, but Hispanic Moon ran well to take third at a ridiculous price. I kept seeing 66s for this horse. I'm like, what? I made 2 mistakes this week, 2, which is an improvement. I think that's probably the best I've done, but I did make 2 mistakes and this was one of them. I didn't have the TriCast. I'd even named you the 4th horse as well, Langtree Lady, and it paid over 300 quid. So you make a mistake at Cheltenham, you drop the ball, and fate has a funny way of picking it up and throwing it in your face, doesn't it? So I'm determined next year to get through with no mistakes. That is my goal. The horse is what you pick, that's kind of separate. It's just more the way you bet, you know, missing the betting opportunities there. I missed that one. But still, it was a good race for us. Langtree Lady, she stayed on really well into 4th. She's a fine big chasing type and she's shortlisted for the Mares Chase next year. Yeah, she looks good. Boodles. Lark in the Morning beat Eagles Rain a couple of lengths here. Rinadawi a further neck behind in 3rd. Yeah, giving a Peter ride from JJ Slevin. There was the usual carnage in this race, which claimed our main dart, Jose Batia. But JJ kept him wide out of trouble on the best of the ground in mid-division. He came through travelling strongly swinging for home, and the result never really looked in doubt. Connections considered pulling him out on the testing ground, so as such we could expect considerable improvement on sort of better ground. I'd say this guy, out of all the Boodles winners I can remember, I think this guy looked the most classiest, personally. And I think he'll be a big contender in the Grade 1 spring races, where, you know, he's going to be in the mix there with like Sergino, Majbra and Cargis. Yeah, I thought he looked different class to these. Four miler. Right, I got this right about being the biggest winning distance race. Maybe not the way we were hoping for, but it looked a 2-horse race and you only needed one, didn't you, to underperform, and it was always going to be a big distance, this. Corbett's Cross beat Embassy Gardens 17 lengths here. Another first time hood. These hoods are the new must-have accessories, aren't they? He's been a slow learner with his jumping, but in that respect he's improved with every run, and this is the best he's jumped here. He was settled towards the rear by Derek, and even in the hood he was still a little keen, particularly with around a circuit to go. Even coming to the second last, there was still some keenness there, which were remarkable really to say. This is 3 miles 6 in every ground. He eased clear between the last two, flew the last. Finally Derek released the handbrake, and the result were just explosive. You know, he just sprinted up the hill. The form's not worth anything, I don't think, but this horse is riddled with ability. For a horse that stays 4 mile, he's got a load of speed. He beat the Arkle second founder 50 over 2 mile last season. It takes a top class horse to have that range of distance, you know. And although JP's got fat to far for the Gold Cup, I'm not sure this fella should be 5 times the price of that horse. I mean, you just look at his form there in Monty Star. Do you remember that chase we said right at the beginning of the season, the beginners there, where he beat Monty Star and a couple others there, Gordon's horse and the Irish national horse for Willie, yeah. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to be trained for the Gold Cup or the National. He looks like he's been given a mark of 157, which is possibly workable in a National nowadays. So I'm not sure what he's going to be trained at. But he's well entitled to have a crack at the Gold Cup, he is. And I'm sure JP won't mind having 2 big darts at that. So we'll see, but for now we will have a point on him at 20-1 for the Gold Cup, and that's only with Bet Victor now. So I'm sorry, you might not be able to get on there, but you know, I got 20s. There were a bit more 20s a few days ago. But yeah, just a point on at 20s for the Gold Cup. Embassy Gardens, I thought he was getting a really negative ride from Patrick. He was never really going to win being settled in behind Corbett's Cross, you know. His jumping weren't as good as in his first 2 starts, but he were found to have an irregular heartbeat after the race, so we'll maybe give Patrick the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe he felt the horse was a little off from the start. Regardless, anyway, he was never going to be beating a Corbett's Cross with the performance he put in here. Wednesday, Right, we officially start on soft, heavy places on Wednesday. The Gallagher. We'll see how long that lasts, but for now it's the Gallagher now. Okay, it's the Gallagher. This was some start to Wednesday, weren't it? Plenty of us, this said plenty of us off to a good start, I think, as ante-post punters anyway. Ballyburn beat Jimmy Soleil 13 length here. Il Atlantique with further 3.5 length back in third. He was settled Andy. He took it up cantering after 2 out, and he was eased 5 lengths clear by the last and just drew away under hands and heels. This was wow. He's got this low head carriage anti early on, especially. He was like kissing the turf there. But he's the standout novice hurdler of the season, and in truth he could have won the Supreme this race or the Bartlett. Indeed, next year he could contest anything from the Champion Hurdle to the Browns. He looks like he could be a Champion Hurdle horse or a Gold Cup horse, or even possibly both. He has mentioned that, Willie. Yeah, and like I said, with Corbett's Cross, when you get a horse that can show like Grade 1 ability at 2 mile and 3 mile, that's when you know you've got something a bit special. I've come round to thinking if he goes over fences, it will be the Turners of the Browns, not the Arkle, just because I think the way Willie works, right, with an horse like this, you're either going Champion Hurdle or Gold Cup. You've got 2 races really you're going to go for with a horse like this, and if you go for the Gold Cup, I can't remember Willie ever kind of running a Gold Cup horse in the Arkle. He tends to, he's like MO is to go Turners or Browns with his Gold Cup horses, so I don't think he'll end up in the Arkle. If he goes over fences, it'd be the Turners or the Browns. Maybe Turners would be favourite and the bookies are betting that way, but he does maybe look a shade overpriced for the Browns. But this is bingo all over again, isn't it? A year away. But yeah, it was some performance anyway. Jimmy de Soleil, he ran well. He's improving with every run. This were a good run. Il Atlantique, I thought, were maybe a shade disappointing in third. But from his first run this season, I just thought this guy looks a born chaser. I weren't sure back then about Cheltenham over the Grade 1 hurdles this year. Patrick got off him and said 2 mile fences, let him roll, and that's kind of what I've thought all along as well. I think he could be some 2 mile chaser next season, he could. Sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong about these things, like El Fabiolo I got right, Fasar Vega we got wrong. They don't always jump how they look like they should do they? But we could have 2 points on him at 25s for the Arkle. The price on this has just started to go the last sort of day or so, and there's just 365 left with it. It was kind of general 25s, but yeah, I'll have 2 points, 25 to 1 for the Arkle. I did check all these prices just before I did this video, so they are there at the minute. Yeah, it's a big price that, I think it's worth a punt at 25s. The Browns then, this I don't think I've ever played a race so well ante-post. We played a blinder here, didn't we? We had 3 bets in the race. We had Fact to File at 28 to 1, Monty Star at 50 to 1, and Stay Away Fate at 16s. I'll probably never do that again. That was just like a dream. And yeah, Fact to File, he beat Monty Star 3 3/4 lengths here with Giovinco, another 2.5 length back in third. He was settled in the rear early, a bit big at the first 2. He looked a little novice through the race, which is fine. I mean, he's never been over hurdles. He was running a bumper last year, weren't he? So, that's to be expected. He took it up going well between the last two, and he quickened smartly away on the running. Yeah, like say a year ago, he were finishing second in the bumper. So, yeah, this is Florida Pearl planning, and it's going well. He's a classy staying chaser, and he with plenty of natural speed, and he's a big contender for the Gold Cup next year. He is. If he should be 4-1 when he can get 3-1 for galloping, I don't know. I think Gap is maybe a little bit disrespectful to galloping myself, but we're on at 12-1, aren't we? We've got a 12-1 ticket for him, so we're happy with that, Monty Star, yeah, he also looks a natural born chaser, and he's progressed hugely in his 3 chase runs this season. I think there's plenty more to come from this guy. He's also a live player for the Gold Cup next year, but he will have to keep progressing. I'm sure he will. We've got some Gold Cup in prospect, haven't we, next year, as we stand. Galloping, Factorfile, Corbett's Cross, Jerry Colomb, Grey Dawning, yeah. Should be good. Giovinco, he ran really well here. He ran that well. You'd have thought that 146 in Ultimate would have been nice, wouldn't you? But they don't run on paper. Maybe his inexperience would have caught him out in that field. I don't know, but Jesus, I'd like to see it anyway. But it wasn't to be. So these guys, they're very good, these trainers and owners. They tend to put them in the right races. Generally, they do. They got most things right. This was maybe one that maybe they got wrong. Stay Away Phase, better than this. He scoped bad after the race. American Mike, he made a few shuddering mistakes on the way round. He's got some ability on his day, and he could be interesting in some sort of Kerry National or something next year. I don't know. Sandor Clegane ran well for a long way here. He only beat 10 lengths. This was much his best run of the season, and he likes better ground, so look out for him on better ground in the spring. He could maybe cause a bit of a turn up somewhere. Right, Coral Cup. We won't get too much into this. Langadan won again. It was there to see, weren't it? Personally, I got my money back on the race. I saved on him. What I will say, right, the handicapper does what the handicapper does. I will say, I thought this was some training performance, and maybe that's got overlooked by Dan. It really were. To get a horse like this, he's got him to 4 Cheltenhams in a row now. He bumped into galloping off like 140 something, weren't in an handicap. He ran into galloping, probably the best handicapped horse. He's up there with State Man anyway. He ran a blinder behind galloping. The year after, he got him back, and he ticked up early, didn't he? And then he got compensation at Aintree. Last year, he got him back again for the Coral Cup, won that, and then he's taken it out again this year. So just to get any horse, to Cheltenham 4 years in a row is some performance. I wouldn't overlook that. That's some training performance, it is. Right. Champion Chase. Captain Guinness beat Gentleman Demi a length and a half. El Fabiolo. You knew it could happen one day, and today, well, it was the day, weren't it, last week? He got in too close to the 5th, made a bad mistake, and he were quickly pulled up. Captain Guinness, he jumped for fun. He took it up at the bottom of the hill and he toughed it out up it to hold Gentleman to me at bay. He's been a fantastic horse for connections, and as costly as El Fabiolo's demise was for plenty, it were nice to see this fella finally get his grade one and on the biggest stage of all. If you want to be fair at nice prices, I mean personally I didn't mention at the time, but he's got beat now, so I can say like I won at 4-1 and I had him in a few other bets there. But if you want at nice prices, ante-post, and you don't mind, you're alright playing on Betfair, you had every opportunity, didn't you, to lay back at some silly odds. I saw him come up on the telly at 1-5. I was like, I've got to lay something back on this horse. So I didn't do too bad in the end out of it. Well, it'd been better if he'd have won. I did have, personally, I had a 20 forecast factor foul to beat Monty's Star, a 20 forecast El Fabiolo to beat Captain Guinness, and a 10 forecast double. So I managed to find new ways to lose on this. But I did lay him back there, I did. Yeah. Now, bizarrely, of the last 12 odds on shots to contest this race, 9 have got beat now. I don't know why, I've got no idea. Maybe the next 6 will all win. Maybe it's just one of them things. It is a chase, and there's always a bit more gamble in a chase, isn't there? That's why your bankers are always best, like your Ballyburns and your Statemans, hurdles, shorter races. But yeah, that's some stat, isn't it? That I don't know why. Grand Annual Unexpected Party beat Liberty Hunter 2 1/4 lengths here. Just going back, El Fabiolo, he's come back sore, hasn't he? So we're not quite sure if he's going to get to Punchestown or not. And how he comes back, I would imagine, will have quite an impact on where we might see Gaelic Warrior next year. So we'll have to see. Right, yeah, Unexpected Party. I don't spend too much time on this and I'll handicap. He was always handy. He took it up running down the hill and he stayed on well up it. Brilliant training performances from Dan Skelton, it were, to take out the 2 big handicaps on the card. That's some going. He's some trainer, he is. If you played St. Roy each way on the day, as I suggested, you'd have been more than likely you got your money back. He came 6th here. But ante-post, we lost out by a neck for 5th. He did let me down as well for an each way, one of those each way place accumulator bets. Like Tell Me Something Girl, Wacker Clan, and a few others in there. Yeah. He kind of got a bad run on the turn for home as well. He probably should have been 5th, but there you go. The bumper then, yeah, Jasmine Devoe beat Romeo Coolio a length and 3/4. With Jalon Duda is 2.5 length back in 3rd. Personally, I went for Jalon Duda here, but I had a nice bet as well on the winner and the reverse forecast. They were about 13-2, I think, a couple of days before. I thought they looked good at that prices. I've got to give my dad a shout here. I have. My dad is some wizard with this bumper. I don't know how he does it, but every year, you know, he gets so it's like, what's going to make bumper, Dad? And I'll just back it. And he was all over Maureen for this, who didn't get there. And I like Maureen. Faheen, related to Faheen. She looks like Faheen. She looks good. He was all over Maureen for this. I was looking for next year for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. They put her in at 4. Well, actually, I think they put her in bigger, but when I seen she was 4-1. 4-1. That's ridiculous. You know, same stage last season. I backed Brighter Days Ahead. I can say now I backed her at 20s. Like, you know, not that it helped, but yeah, I backed her at 20s. Maureen, one bumper in 4-1. That's poor. That is. But yeah, he was all over Maureen, and when she weren't coming here, he were all over this Jasmine DeVoe. Yeah, he won again. Don't know how he does it, but he's a wizard with this. Yeah, he settled wide towards the rear early, steadily moved into contention. Patrick conjured up a withering late run on the stands rail to get up on top close home. This were a fantastic ride from Patrick. It were you stick an hurdle or a fence there, and I'd rather not have him on board, to be fair, personally, but you know, he knows how to ride these bumpers, he does. And you'd imagine it meant a lot to Willie to have his son on board for his 100th winner here, his 100th festival winner. That's some fantastic achievement, that is. Personally, if I had to take one out of this, it would be the runner-up here, Romeo Coolio. He kind of looks a scopier type than the winner. He kind of got marooned in the middle of the track. He went off 25s for this after an interrupted preparation. He looks a fine prospect going forward. He does. He could end up in the Supreme or the Gallagher next year. Jalon Duderis also looks a lovely prospect going forward. Prominent throughout here, whereas the other principals came from off the pace, so you can maybe mark him up for that. Yeah, he looks a lovely horse for Gigginstown. Fishery Lane ran a blinder here. He did. Fifth beat 6 lengths at 66-1. He only made his debut 4 weeks earlier, got no point-to-point form or French background. He got beat in that, but he stayed on well from the last year and ran really well. That's Willie's as well. Yeah, the principals were kind of to the fore here. The right horses were to the fore, so I think this will work out well again. Last year, the best bump horses, Slade Steel, Ballyburn, etc., they stayed in Ireland, didn't they? So, I know it's early, but we're going to have, I can't help it, we're going to have a small little bet in the Supreme. And what we're going to do, we're going to back the best bumper horse in Ireland. We are. How do we know that? Because Barry O'Connell told us so. He said. So we're going to have a point on William Money for the Supreme at 25s. That's just 365 now. Like I say, some of these are more widely available a day or two ago. But yeah, at 1 point, William Money Supreme 25s. I'll say to Chance he didn't do much for his form here, but maybe it could be a mistake to take that too literally. A lot of horses come to this bumper and underperform. He was wickedly impressive last time. He were just that, you know, the way he just changed gears. He's going to go to Punchestown with a sporting chance of turning over Willie and Gordon's big guns there. I like him, and at the 25s he's worth a small bit. We'll have a point on him. Thursday, soft. Right, Turners. Grey Dawning beat Ginny's Destiny 2 length here. Ginny's Destiny led. Grey Dawning tracked him through on the inside. On the run to 3 out, Grey Dawning moved out of his slipstream to challenge. Took it up between the last two and toughed it out up the hill. He jumped brilliantly here, he did. And he didn't do anything stupid, which I kind of feared he might. He looked much more the finished article here. He looked like he'd grown up a bit. He should improve hugely for the step up to 3 mile. He is. And he's a serious player. He is for the Gold Cup next year. I really like this horse, I do. And he's going to take some beating in the English Grade 1 Stain Chasers next year. He is. Yeah, good horse. Fatal Vega, a special one. Hugely disappointing here, he were, and I don't know why. We went over the cliff for him, didn't we? We went over the edge. We're going to have to see something different from him. really, before getting involved again. Stayers hurdle, maybe. Teapot something to think about in the Stayers. Right. Pertemps. Monmirel beat Kintara a length and a quarter with Cuthbert Dibble, a class name. A further 2 1/4 lengths back in third. Not really got much to say about this really. He'd a disappointed chase in Monmirel ante, so maybe there's more to come from him now back over hurdles. He could maybe make up into a Stayers hurdle horse next year, maybe. I do quite like Cuthbert Dibble though, and maybe he'll make a nice staying chaser. He's kind of got a stamp of a chaser about him. Ryanair Protectorate beat Envoy Allen 4 lengths. Yeah, Harry Skelton, basically copy and paste Grey Dawning ride here. Stage Star led, Protectorate tracked him through on the inside. He angled him that 3 out to challenge, took it up at the last and stayed on well up the running. Envoy Allen, he were given a peach by Rachel, he came to challenge at the last and maybe just kind of got outstayed in the ground from there, you know. Banbridge, they rolled the dice, didn't they? But he found the ground too soft. He could well bounce back on nicer ground in the spring if we ever get any nicer ground again. Stayers hurdle. Teapot beat Flooring Boat at 3 3/4 lengths here. Jack kept him wide in mid-division, rode him like the best horse in the race really. He came to challenge Flooring Porter, took it up on the approach to last and stayed on well from there. Gordon were proved right here, weren't he, when he said the Galmoy knocked the edge off him for this last year, and connections were fully vindicated in keeping him fresh for this. These guys don't often get things wrong, do they? And particularly this Robcore outfit that the canny lads they are. Flooring Porter, he ran a blinder here, he did. He's been a kind of superstar for connections. Yeah, you look at Teapot for next year, I think he's sort of 3 to 1-ish, maybe a shade bigger in places. You are kind of, you know, if ever we get the sort of quicker ground at Cheltenham, you wouldn't quite know there, but he does look pretty solid, wouldn't he, for that. But I think at the prices, I'd rather wait till the day, and then, you know, if ground comes up soft for him again, back him at evens or whatever, but it's just me. In the plate, Shake 'em Up Harry beat Cribilli a length and a quarter. Not spend too much time on this. The winner, yeah, he looked kind of leniently just put up the £3 for his sort of 7-length win the time before by the handicapper. Cribilli's jumping just about held up. He was a bit novice, he's still learning. He looks to me like he could improve plenty for 3 mile. I think there's more to come from him. I did have a little on Saint Felician for my own sanity, and he was still going well when wiped out, but that were a long way from home, so we'll never know, I guess. Mares Novice Hurdle. Yeah, this went bad for us, this. Golden Ace beat Brighter Days Ahead a length and 3/4. In a lot of ways, this was the race I was kind of most looking forward to, and it just turned into a car crash at a race, It did. Relatively speaking, this was slower ran than the Pertemps and the Stayers, which to say they're 3 mile races and this is a 2 mile one is quite something. It were really slowly ran, and that didn't suit Brighter Days Ahead or Jade Grugy. It would show they stayed 2.5 miles strongly on bad ground. Saying all that, I don't want to take too much away from the winner, Golden Ace. You know, she's unbeaten over hurdles and showed a smart turn of foot here to outsprint her rivals. But at the same time, I wouldn't be writing off the big two Irish mares on the back of this. Brighter Days Ahead was keen all the way through the race. You know, the slow pace didn't help her here, and Jack couldn't really get her settled. Look, she's a fine big scopy mare, this, and she's going to improve hugely for 2.5 mile, I think, over fences. It's also worth noting Brighter Days Ahead and Jade DeGrugy were the only 5-year-olds in the lineup here, and as such, you know, they should show a lot of improvement 5 to 6. I think they could improve significantly over the next 12 months. We've got 3 points on her at 8s for the Mares Chase next year, and I'm happy with that still. And she's actually coming in price, even though she got beat out. Jade DeGrugy, she was kind of held in by Jack on the turn for home and found herself stranded in the middle to far side of the track on her own here. Paul rode some fantastic races at Cheltenham last week, but this wasn't one of them. I would say if you like these two mares before this race, I'd keep the faith for now. I would. I think there's solid reasons for doing so. So we got the bet on Brighter Days Ahead. I like that. We're also going to have 2 points on Jade DeGrugy at 20 to 1 generally for the mare's hurdle. She could go chasing, but I think she's worth the gamble at that. She could prove a different proposition as a 6-year-old next year over 2.5 miles. She could. 20 to 1's more than fair, I'd say. Yeah, a bit like I've had very few multiple bets. That's one thing we'd learned, haven't we? Just to get a horse there 12 months out, I think you're more or less 50-50 maybe, I don't know. So to get like 2 in one bet, or 3 or 4 is pushing it. But I did have a small double as well, just a bit of change, at Jade DeGrugy for the mare's hurdle and Lossiemouth for the champion hurdle. Because again, that's a kind of relatable thing, isn't it? If she does turn into a big mare for the mare's hurdle, makes it more likely Lossiemouth's in the champion. So, a bit like the Ballyburn, we had a small double, didn't we, on Ballyburn, champion hurdle and Lossiemouth for the mares. It's kind of relatable Willy bingo, isn't it? Yeah, you can sort of play a little bit with multis like that. You could even really chuck in Ballyburn for the Turners, because that'd be relatable too. I don't think they'd have Lossiemouth and Ballyburn there, but yeah, we don't want to be getting carried away with these multis at this stage. The Kimure then, I know the way you're thinking, beat Gitmake at 8 lengths here. Wacker Clan were further 18 lengths back in third. He jumped off in front. He was kind of sticky over the first 2 and quickly found himself third last. He slowly crept into the race, and after jumping 3 out, he kind of ghosted into it swinging. He cantered into the lead on the approach to the last and powered clear up the hill. This were a brilliant ride from Derek O'Connor. It were yeah, we kind of tracked him all the way through the season, haven't we, for a big handicap. But I just felt, I mean, I feel terrible because I backed him at kind of 8s, but when I went to put him up here, he was like 4 to 1. I hope you got on him anyway. I hope you did. I just thought 4 to 1 in a race of this nature were a bit short, so we played Wacker Clan each way on here. But he returned 13 to 8, so the 4 to 1 kind of looked a fine price in the end, didn't it? I was gobsmacked by that return. I That's just an incredible price for a handicap of this nature. It is. I think JP had entered a briefcase onto this horse, hadn't he? This were a big performance for a 6-year-old novice off 145, and it will be interesting to see how far he can go. It will. Friday then, the going was soft, heavy in places, and heavy on the hurdles track. Worse on the hurdles track. This were a brilliant day. Personally, this was my favourite day. It was proper Cheltenham. I'd got 4 winners, and the other 3 I had kind of got mowed down on the running. So it was like up, down, all the way through the card. Yeah, it was some ride this Friday. It were. The triumph then. Masborough beat Cargeese a length and a half here. They were both keen early and settled in sort of 4th or 5th. Cargeese was noticeably keen for most of the race and probably paid the price for that after the last. They both moved up to challenge, jumping 2 out, and they had a fantastic duel really from there to the line. Masborough took it up jumping the last and just outstayed her up the hill, and they came a long way clear of the 3rd. Masborough, I absolutely love this horse. He looks awesome, he jumps awesome, and he runs awesome. He's pretty awesome, isn't he? He is. He's going to make some chase. Willie's already mentioning Gold Cups for him. I've got to mention a couple of things here as well. Couple of shout outs if you like. Right at the beginning of the season, Willie gave 2 dark horses to follow in them stable tours. He did. And he gave this fella and Fact to File. I think they were both around 20s at the time, and that had been a nice double, wouldn't it, you know? I'm sure the odd person had it. Yeah. Willie were pretty effusive in his praise for him even then, and I was wondering if to put him up when one of our fellow ramblers there, Trevor Clark, posted a comment, and he said, check this horse is running France out, he reminds me of a young galloping. He were well keen on him and backed him. So I actually took his advice and I watched his run in France, and yeah, the way he stayed on from after the last, you could see he'd kind of eat that hill at Cheltenham. So that kind of tipped me over the edge with him, and it all worked out nicely for us, didn't it? Where it goes next season, I don't know. He's only 4, so I'm not sure if Willie's going to send him chasing or give him a quiet year over hurdles. But he's definitely one to follow when he goes over the big obstacles, isn't he? He's exciting. Cargeese, she's got tons of pace, and she stayed on surprisingly well considering her keenness and the heavy ground. She deserves plenty of credit here, and it's not hard to imagine her turning the form around at, say, Punchestown on better ground should they meet again there. Now you can look at it 2 ways, can't you? Because Masborough were more likely races, took a big step forward, improved past her here. Is he going to take, you know, that same trajectory and go further clear of her? But then again, like I say, on the better ground, around a sharper track, with the pace she's got, you can imagine her turning it around. Much will depend on how these horses come out of this race and going forward, doesn't it, you know, for these end of season races. The county hurdle, Absurd beat Leadersud a length here. Now, this race, when I saw Paul's name at the side of Absurd, I kind of knew we won the wrong one at Willie's here in Bialystok. However, when the ground went heavy, I thought the ground had just gone for that horse. And as we won Leadersud at 11-1, I was still pretty happy coming into the race. I thought he was the one. Coming into the race, I thought he was the one. And for 95% of the race, I thought he was the one. But when you watch a race live, you're mainly watching your horse, aren't you? And I thought Leader Sud looked the winner all the way round here until you kind of saw Absurd ghosting from nowhere at the last. If you backed Absurd though and you were watching him, you kind of knew coming to the last, didn't you, that he were going to take this. Yeah, Leader Sud wasn't stopping though, and they came clear, quite a way clear after the last, and it wasn't until the last 50 yards or so Absurd finally got on top. This were Mark's rabbit on his Cheltenham chat video. So if we were going to lose, I was happy that we lost to Mark's rabbit here. I was. Well done, Mark. Another year of profit. Yeah. From 2 out, I mean, this was some ride. It was an awesome ride from Paul. From 2 out, he was sat stone last, made a mistake there, and from the bottom of the hill, he just sluiced through the entire field, avoided any traffic, and delivered him perfectly after the last. I think Leader Sud should make a chaser. Looks a chasing type. Don't know, maybe he'll go back for the Greatwood or something early next season, and then maybe Dan will send him chasing, and he could make up into an Arkle type, he could. Sorry, I apologise. I made up with it. Albert Bartlett. What a day this week were. Stellar Story beat the Jukebox Man ahead. It was 7 lengths back to Dancing City in third. You couldn't make this up, could you? You couldn't. Nap of the week. And to be fair, we won at 7s and he were like 6s, 5s. When I napped him, I wouldn't have been napping him at 2s or whatever he finished. But yeah, he was the nap of the week. Reading Tommy wrong, completely blew out. And from the depths of the recycle bin, the long forgotten Stellar Story climbs out to rescue us. Now I'm not sure taking 16-1 before Christmas about a 33-1 winner is how ante-post is supposed to work, but we'll gladly take that. Personally, I'm kind of lucky. I tend to cash these ones out. I'm pretty harsh on them, but I'd put it on an account. I couldn't cash it out. I put it up in one of my dad's, so yeah. The first two were the first two throughout here. The Jukebox Man leading Stellar Story. The Jukebox Man kicked off the turn for home and he looked away and gone, to be honest. It looked like he had the race in the bag until halfway up the running where he started to tie up and Sam Ewing conjured up a power pack finish to get up on the line. He did. Now, for every winner, there's got to be a loser, and you did have to feel a bit for the runner-up here. But it was a great moment, this, for Sam Ewing, and indeed Gordon Elliott, who's had, he was taking this race for the first time, and he's had some really bad luck in the race in the past. And it weren't bad for his Ramblers either, was it? Now, the Browns would seem the obvious race for the winner, although he does already wear cheap pieces, and he's not the type to string together a load of ones, so he's not really an ante-post bet for me. But yeah, if he turns up on the day next year, it could be interesting. I won't be losing faith in Tommy just yet. Many big kind of strapping chasing types have blown out here in the past, they have, and they've bounced back the season after. I think, these sort of big framed horses, they often, that novice season, they can get a little bit weak towards the end of it. They have a summer out at grass, fill into that frame a bit, and they're a bit stronger and they can take the training and the racing a bit better. Just last year, Monty Starr pulled up in this. He's ran a blinder in the Browns this year. Chianti Classico pulled up in this. He's come out and won an Ultima this year. Eden Valley Lake pulled up in this last year and he's come out and won the Boyne. So I won't be writing Tommy off just yet. It'll be exciting to see how he gets on over fences next year. hopefully Willie will just kind of put him away now. Right, this Browns. We're adding a couple more here for the Browns. First one, this is the one that changed. Apologies, it's just took me a while to get this video together. It were 100 to 1, but we're going to have a point each way, 66 to 1, Croke Park, with Paddy Power, Unibet and Betfair. He was actually supposed to run here instead of the winner, but he was lame. I'm hoping that's nothing too serious, you know. But at the prices, it's just a massive price for him. You know I've loved this horse for staying chasers next year all season. He's going to make a cracking 3-mile chaser. Croke Park, yeah. At that price, we've got to have a bit on him, so we'll have a point each way in him at 66s. The other one there, Shanna Bob, we're going to have 2 points at 50s on him. I know we're kind of loading up here on the Browns, and there's some more as well, but these prices, you know, 50 to 1. I'm going to put him down as 2 points win. You can play him each way if you like. It's up to you. You know, I think we're going to end up with like 5 in this, which is a bit mad, but it turned out all right for us this year, so maybe it will again. Yeah, I'll look at each way. It's like, say you have a tenner each way at 50s on this horse, and he gets a place, you're getting 110 back there, aren't you? So you're only getting 9 to 2 on your £20. That's how I see it. But if you've got a few in the race, you know, it's like you'd be glad if you back Monty's Star each way at 50s when I put him at 1, you know. So. But for these purpose of this, I'm just going to put 2 points win on him at 50s. Yeah, he looks a classy stayer, this for Nicky. He didn't get the chance to run here, but I thought coming into this he was a big danger. And I think 50s looks massive for him too, yeah. Right then, Gold Cup. What a day. Galloping Deschamps beat Jerry Colombe 3.5 lengths. Corach Rambler further 9.5 lengths back in third. This were an imperious display from the champion. He always looked in control of the race, and the only scary moments were courtesy of the loose horse here. And I'm sure plenty of you, were holding my breath, just praying nothing mental were going to happen here with the loose horse. This were another fantastic ride from Paul as well. He kept jacking twice in the later stages on Jerry Colombe. Brilliant race riding, but at the end of the day, Galloping was winning regardless. I felt really proud for Jerry Colombe and his run here. It were clear lifetime best. He proved his Christmas running all wrong, and I think this display would have been enough to take plenty of Gold Cups. It's just this wasn't a normal Gold Cup, was it? Because one of the best staying chasers I've ever seen was in it. Fast or Slow was unfortunate. JJ, he shadowed Paul all the way round, but he came out, I think, 7 out. And we'll never know how he'd have measured up in the finish. It were brilliant races and a brilliant champion, fitting for the 100th running of the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Brave Man's Game and L'Homme Presse look likely candidates to sort of do a protectorate for next year and drop back down to the Ryanair. Possibly, maybe, though, they might bump into Gaelic Warrior, which would be unfortunate for him, wouldn't it? But we'll see. The Fox Hunters sign nominee beat It's on the Line 3/4 of a length here. Derek O'Connor was again brilliant on It's on the Line. It didn't look an easy ride at all. He was kind of hanging away to the right for a lot of the race, but he all but won on him. He closed the door on Scene Nominee approaching the last, but in a funny way, that kind of helped the winner. It allowed him to delay his challenge and get up in the last 30 yards. This was a great patient ride from Mr. John Dawson, although his mind were kind of made up there at the last for him. But it was a good ride, and it was a nice victory for the little people here against the might of like JP, Emmett Mullins and Derek O'Connor. It was an expensive fun for me personally, as I'd had the second in a nice Trixie with Masborough and Limerick Lace and a treble with Galloping and Limerick Lace. But there you go. So on to Limerick Lace. Yeah, the Mare's Chase. Limerick Lace beat Dino Blue 3/4 of a length. It's a good result for us Ramblers. I went in a couple of times on this at sort of 5s and 4s. Two fantastic rides here, I felt. I did. I thought the race riding last week were exceptional. It were. Keith Donoghue, he always had Limerick Lace in the right place. Kicked for home at exactly the right time to test Dino Blue's stamina and to try and draw the finish out of that rival. I thought it was a brilliant ride. It were. Equally, I thought Mark Walsh were great on Dino Blue. She's been keen at Cheltenham in the past, but he got her nicely settled and he kind of preserved every ounce of precious stamina here. I don't think either jockey could have finished like an inch better than they did. The winner, she's been hugely progressive this season, and you have to wonder if connections of Dino Blue kind of missed a trick here, because surely she'd have had a good shout of securing JP his first champion chase as things transpired. It made for a great race here though, didn't it? It did. So lastly, yeah, I've tipped over an hour. We're not doing bad. Martin Pipe. Better Days Ahead beat Waterford Whispers a length and a half with Key de Bourbon half a length back in third. This was the other mistake I made this. I had Key de Bourbon and Waterford Whispers running for 4 figures, and I just dropped the ball. I don't know why, but I really should have covered Better Days Ahead. I knew that was a big danger and I didn't have anything on him. That was a bad mistake by me, bit of an error there, but there you go. I don't know, it being the last race, I just switched off or something. There's some depth to this race though, and I think this is going to really work out well. The right horses were at the fore again here. Better Days Ahead was ridden along and looked beat turning for home, but his stamina kicked in up the hill and he stayed on strongly to claim victory. Waterford Whispers was a shade keen and took it up plenty early enough with a circuit to run. He led until the last and only gave best halfway up the running. We had a slightly quieter ride, just slightly. You could have seen a different result here maybe. Kay de Bourbon was well placed if good enough, and he seemed to get a bit outpaced / run green before staying on again strongly close home. Answer to Cave also stayed on well, and he could be interesting in like a 3-mile handicap in the spring or something. They finished well clear at Ocastle de Mots, who was way too keen and did remarkably well to be beat less than 15 lengths into 5th. He's got a handicap rating of 133. He would look a prime candidate for this new must-have accessory, hasn't he? Chuck a hood on him, get him to settle, and I think he can exploit that handicap mark. What's Up Darling as well, ran well in 6th, beaten just over 15 lengths, looks all over Chaser. I think this horse will improve for better ground, if we ever get it. Yeah, I think this were a quality race. I can see it working out well. So apologies for stacking up on this Browns, but hopefully it'll work out for us. We're going to have 2 points on better days ahead at 25s for the Browns, that's with Paddy's. And 1 point on Key de Bourbon at 33s for the Browns, that's with Paddy's and Unibet. Just worth noting, Key de Bourbon was the least experienced here, and he's only a 5-year-old, whereas the first two were 6-year-olds. Yeah, we are stacked up for the Browns here, but at nice prices, and you never know, maybe it'll work out well for us again. Waterford Whispers, yeah, looks a fine chasing prospect too, but would be harder to nail his target. He could end up a Turner's horse, maybe. Right, we're getting there now. The performance of the week. For me personally, I gave it to Galloping. I did. There is some wow novice performances. There always is, isn't there? But they're in novice company. This was the Gold Cup. It was. And this was Galloping's second Gold Cup. And he looked in complete control the whole way to me. He's danced every dance this season. He's took the Savills, the Irish Gold Cup, and the Gold Cup. There's some exciting pretenders to his throne, isn't there? We've got Factor File, Grey Dawning, Jerry Colomb, Monty Star, Corbett's Cross. But they're the pretenders. This fella is the real deal. He's the king, and let's just hope he's back here in 12 months' time to try and fight them all off and claim that third Gold Cup. We've got some racing prospects at this moment in time. The second I gave to Ballyburn. Yeah, he just didn't look to come out of second gear, did he? I mean, he's hugely exciting. He is hugely exciting. Champion Hurdle Gold Cup. Cool. I don't know where he's going, but only the very best have that sort of ability that they could go for either way. And wherever he goes, it's going to be exciting to see. It is. Third one I gave to Corbett's Cross. I did. He was still keen to out, and the way he sprinted up that hill after 3 miles 6 on heavy ground, was something else. It were. Yeah, the form's not worth anything, I don't think, but sometimes you just have to believe your own eyes. Gaelic Warrior, Factor File, yeah. Honourable mentions, they'd have been. I wouldn't argue if anyone chucked any of those in the top 3 there, The ride of the week, I gave, and I've been a minority here, I think, listening to a few other guys, but I gave to Derek O'Connor. I did, for I know the way you're thinking. This were a pressure ride, the money were down, JP had emptied the briefcases out onto this, and he displayed tremendous patience here. His ride were a thing of beauty. Yeah, Paul on Absurd pushed him close. He did. But yeah, I think we've been spoiled by Jamie Codd and Derek O'Connor. I don't know if Derek O'Connor's coming back again now, or Jamie Codd. I don't think we'll ever see their kind of artistry matched in the amateur ranks again around this hallowed turf. Special jockeys they are. Training performance of the week, I gave to Willie Mullins for Gaelic Warrior. He looked a broken horse last time. To bring him back here for an Arkle in this sort of form, throw on the hood, yeah, fantastic. He's, he has all these winners. He's a top trainer, but he's for a reason. He's just something else, he is. And that's it then. What a fantastic week it were. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you found some winners there and finished the right side. Just looking at this, I think we're going to have 5 more videos before the end of the season. My next job is to go through the Grand National. We're non-runner, no betting that, aren't we now? So it'll be worth picking a few, having a few darts at that early, I think. I normally end up with a mini squad of around 4 or 5 or something like, you know. But yeah, I'll have a good look, so I'll probably do a little Grand National video sometime in the next week or so. And we've got Fairy House, so we'll do a Fairy House one, we'll do an Aintree one, we'll do a Punchestown one, and then we'll do like an end of the season one where we just wrap it all up. So yeah, there you go then. We did alright in the end. We did make a bit of profit, and we had a lot of fun along the way. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll see you again soon then. All the best. Thanks for watching as well. I do appreciate your time. Alright, bye.